This is a 2014 AX100 and this is a 2017 AX700. Newer does not mean better. I just made that video about 1-inch cameras, and I thought I'd throw this in there real quick because I've talked about these before. These are 1-inch camcorders, really high-end from Sony, but still within the consumer range. The AX700 and the Z90V, I've mentioned those. I don't like the color. The color isn't that great, but I like them because they have really good, the most dependable eye autofocus of anything that I have. You turn it on, and it instantly locks on your eye, and no matter where you are in the shot, it follows you around. You're always in focus. Good exposure and everything. So these are for the dependability, where you don't want to have to think about, is it in focus or not? So that's good. The colors suck. I don't like the colors on these. So I got really curious. I said, there was the earlier version of this was the AX100. So I got one just to see what it was like. 1-inch sensor, same features. It's just like the early version of it. It's more pared down. It's more simple. I got it and I instantly fell in love with it, which is why I'm making this video. Look how small this thing is. This is a normal consumer size camcorder. It doesn't have all these fancy bells and whistles. It's not big and heavy, over bloated, professional try to looking thing. Look at the difference between the 700 and the 100. This is a small camcorder and I love the size of this. This has got the extra bulk on the side here and just looks so beefed up and everything. And it's just, I don't like big things. I like little things that don't bring a lot of attention to themselves. This is perfect. It's pared down. It's the minimum. It doesn't have a fancy handle on top. It doesn't use XLRs. It's only got one card slot. Let me get into that for a second here for you. Because I know there's people out there who go, I would never get a camera unless it has 2 card slots. Let me tell you something there. Back in the days when I was making a real Hollywood movie and with real film, I learned something as a young lad, and that is to be very frugal with when you push the record button, because back then film was expensive. All right, these things like thousands of dollars just to get a roll of film, and that was just for the dailies. Then once you edited the film, then you have to make an internegative, which costs money, and then you have to get the final print, which costs money. So everything is developing film, which costs a lot of money. And when you're a student or a young person or a person who's just starting out in the film business and you got to buy these pieces, you get what's called short ends. Those are where the big Hollywood productions, at the end of the day, they have some pieces of film left over and they put them in film cans and they resell them at a discount. You can get them at the film places. And that's what people like me were making movies off of, was what's called short ends. And that is, they're just little short ends of film that was left over from the big movie. So you only put them in there and you only have like a few minutes of film before the thing runs out. So you learn very early on to only push record right as you're ready to get it going, and you say your stuff and you push off, and you learn to be very frugal. And you plan ahead with what you're doing so you don't waste film. Nowadays, people just push record on their cameras and they just let it run all day, and then they don't even think about it. And then they go in their computers and the computers are overloading with these giant files. They're bogged down and you're sitting here for hours and hours having to go through all this boring footage. Well, learn to be frugal, to only push record when you have to. Learn what you're going to do before you push record. That's what planning is for, and being smart and having it all like chiseled down to the bare things of what you want to say. The video that you're going to put, if you're on YouTube, video shouldn't be more than 5 or 10 minutes anyway. So why are you shooting 4 hours of film? I know there's long interviews. I know there's reasons why some people have to do it. But most people, you don't need to shoot all that film. I have never, ever needed more than 1 card slot, ever. For anything I've ever done, that was more than enough for me because I plan. I know what I want and I get it done and I'm very efficient with it. So this is not an issue with me. I got to rant on some things once in a while. And those people who say, I will never get a camera unless there's 2 card slots. Well, that's not me. I am doing really well with just 1 card slot. Okay, it has a nice viewfinder in the back here. That has a hot shoe, so you can put a Sony audio in there. And by the way, these things also take still pictures with these camcorders. They even have a photo button on the back. You can get some good stuff with this. So camcorders are not just for taking video. All right, so what else? It's got ND filters on the back, got 3 different positions of ND, it's got the auto manual, it's got the rocker switch for the really smooth zoom, it's got the iris gain and shutter speed button on the front here, it's got the white balance and everything, but the most important thing that I love about this is the color. Look at this, here's the color with the AX100, it is just beautiful, it looks like skin tones. Now look at the color of the AX700, yuck! That's because they introduced high dynamic range with these cameras and it started muddying up the colors. So they were sacrificing good color for dynamic range. And then here's the Z90V. It's a little better, but it still looks muddy and like just not as nice. The colors are just nowhere near as nice. I don't need super big high dynamic range because I know how to light things properly. I know how to expose properly. I don't just shoot willy-nilly and then just figure out I'm just going to fix it later on. I'm just going to not care about my lighting and stuff. Get it right in the first place, shoot it right, and you get great stuff right out of the camera. You don't have to do post work, you don't have to do color grading, it's just done. You look great. And that is my philosophy, is get it right in the first place. Don't try to fix it all later on. So I love this camera. For me and what I do, this camera is more than good enough for me. So I'm going to give this one away, the AX700 at marcuspicks.giveawayenter.com. Or I just said it, I hit it in the video, so those people who are fast forwarding through the video trying to look for a giveaway, they won't see it. Okay, back to the AX100. The autofocus is not that great. It does not have eye autofocus, but it has face recognition. The best way to make this thing dependable is if you have obviously good lighting and don't have your face in the dark, muddy shadows, and put it in portrait mode so it knows to look for a face. It's not as lightning fast and great as these, but it's good enough for what I'm doing. I don't move around that fast in the picture. And like I said, I try to have good lighting anyway. We're back to that. I said, how many times in this video have I said, make sure you have good lighting and expose it right and know when to shoot and what to shoot and when to push record? Most people, they don't think about that stuff. They don't go think about the lighting. They don't think about what's going to be said. They just push record and hope it's going to be good, and then they try to fix it. They spend hours and hours trying to fix it later on in post. You know, get it right in the first place. All right. Boy, I sure like to rant, huh? Yep. Okay, anyway, I will now continue to get on with my life. So I will see you in the next video. That's it. Bye.